So once again, we find ourselves doing a practice test that looks suspiciously similar to the final test. And so, as I said, Pythagorean theorem will be given, but only this form, right? If you're given a question where you already have the hypotenuse, you know you're going to have to subtract, right? And then here's your three trig ratios. I've been using the pyramids, so it's pretty easy to turn those into pyramids, right? You can just draw SOH, CAH, TOA. All right. Okay, so let's do it. Number one, find the size of the angle labeled theta. All right, I don't have to do any major trig on this. I know that three angles in a triangle all add up to what number? 180, yeah. So if I just do 180 degrees minus the ones I know, minus 35. And what's this one? That little box there? 90. That's a 90-degree angle. If I do that, what am I left with? 55. I believe I'm left with 55. So to do this one, you just had to remember the three angles add up to 180, right? That's going to be a one-mark question. I'm not going to give you more than that, okay? Yeah. Robin, did I give you a copy of the practice test? Yeah, you got it? Okay. Number two, circle the name of the triangle shown below. So again, this you just need to remember. If two sides are the same, well, first of all, what's an equilateral triangle? Yeah, equilateral means all the laterals, the sides, are equal. And that, if this had 3 ticks, then it would be. But it doesn't have 3 ticks. It only has 2, which makes it an isosceles triangle. Because it only had 2 sides the same. Okay? And the scalene is what? The one where all the 3 sides are different or something. Okay. Again, that's going to be a 1-mark question. For a grand total of 2. Okay. Turn the page. Kobe, did I give you the practice test yet? Oh, you got it? Okay. Number 3. Find the missing piece of information in each of the following triangles. Either find side x or angle theta. In the first one, we're finding the angle. If this is the angle, what's this side called? That's the opposite. What's this side called? Adjacent. Which one of those ratios has opposite and adjacent in it? Tan. Because I'm finding the angle, I have to do inverse tan. So inverse tan of 14 over 5. On my calculator, it's almost better to set it up this way. But on your calculator, it might be better for you to hit 14 divided by 5 equals, then hit shift tan, whatever. As long as you end up with 70, I guess 70 degrees. Didn't specify. If you put 70.3 or 70.35, that's fine, right? As long as you got about 70, that's good. Everybody get 70? Did it say that? Oh, let's check it. Let's see here. Round answers to 2 decimal places. All right, let's do that. Bonus mark for you reading the instructions at the beginning there. Far be it from me to do it. 70.35 degrees. It's a little odd. Normally, they would say for angles, just go to the nearest degree, but it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm not a stickler for those things. I just want to know that you got the math right. So. For this one, if this is the angle I'm using, what's this side called down here? That's the adjacent. What's this side up here, the x? That's the hypotenuse. Which ratio has a and h in it? Cosine. And because I'm finding a side, I'm trying to find the h, so it's going to be divide. 29 divided by the cosine of 31 degrees. I got 33.83 centimeters. Anybody get that? Yeah? Okay. So marking these things, it's always 1 mark for labeling, 1 mark for recognizing the correct ratio, and then 1 mark for getting the answer. So these are worth 3 each. That's 3, that's worth 3. Okay. C. If this is the angle, what's this side called over here? Opposite. The 22 is the, and which ratio has those in it? Sin, sine, yep. And we're finding the opposite side, which means we're going to end up multiplying. The sine is 74 degrees times 22, which is 21.15, and I guess that would be feet. Anybody else get 21.15? Yeah? Okay. Who's willing to admit they like doing trig now? Who likes it? Come on. There's always one. There's always one. Could be you. Could be you. Okay. You wouldn't admit it, right? At home, you'll pull out your I love trig t-shirt, but you won't bring it to school. Okay, so this one, there's 3 sides. There's no angle. You don't need to find the angle. We can use the what? The Pythagorean theorem, yeah. I can just go that side squared plus that side squared equals x squared. If I want to find out what x is, I'm just going to have to do this and then hit square root. Okay. I can do all this in 1 step in my calculator if I'm careful, if I use round brackets. 16 squared plus 40 squared equals 43.08. Anybody get that? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Nima, I have the sneaking suspicion you're the only one that's actually finished all the questions. Remember, with the trig stuff, to be confident, you actually have to do all the questions over and over again. And then eventually you just get really good at it, right? It's just a skill. Okay, so here's the angle. This side over here is the opposite. This side is the adjacent, which is TOA. We are looking for the adjacent side, so it looks like I'm dividing. So that's going to be 60 divided by the tangent of 20 degrees. Let's see what it is. 164.85 inches, I guess. Yes? Okay. And again, 3 marks. The last one here, we're finding the angle. What's this 32.7 called? Hypotenuse. And the 28.5? The adjacent, which is the cosine, AH. So I need to do the inverse cosine of 28.5 divided by 32.7. $28.5 over 32.7, and I got 29.36 degrees. Yes? Okay. And it's fine if you wrote 29.4, or if you wrote 29, that's fine. Okay. I'm not going to dock you.
And maybe even do calculator. Sometimes it works and sometimes it says
Yeah, arrow just means the order you're pressing it in. So yours is backwards. So I imagine for yours, you'd have
to divide it first and then
hit you need to divide and hit equals. Turn it into a decimal first. Because if you go 28.5 divided by 32.7 and hit shift, it's going to try to do the inverse of 32.7 and it'll give you an error.
Okay.
So make sure you hit equals first. Make sure make sure in your calculator, make sure you have a decimal, 0 point something before you hit shift coast or shift in.
I finally got the actual answer.
Yeah. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Hit equals before. Okay. So this whole page, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3 is worth 18. The marking scheme is on this practice test is suspiciously similar to what you can expect on the actual test. Okay. So, number 4. You're standing 120 meters away from the base of the Empire State Building. Where's the Empire State Building? New York, yeah. They like to put King Kong up there. So when I see the Empire State Building, I want King Kong. I'm going to draw him in there because I really like King Kong.
You're forgetting the plane as well.
Yeah, and all the planes shooting at him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to show the shooting.
Yeah.
King Kong's up there. Okay, so...
It just looks like a naked guy.
Well, technically he's naked.
Yeah.
Okay, you're standing 120 meters away. The angle of elevation is 74 degrees. That means looking up. Calculate the height. So that would be this. They even put a little X there for it. Okay, this is my angle. What's the... That's the opposite, yeah? And down here, adjacent, which means I'm using tan. And we're looking for the opposite side, so it's going to be multiply. Tan 74 times 120, which is 418.49 meters tall. That is a tall building. Over 1,200 feet tall. I wonder if it really is. That's pretty tall. Okay. Again, it's going to be 3 marks because the diagram is already given, right? If you have to make your own diagram, that could potentially be another mark. So, but this one, it's already drawn, so there's 3. You know, I'm not sure, but I'll think in my head about the actual test and I'll try to figure out if you have to draw your own. I would predict that you don't have to draw your own, which makes life easier. Would you like me to add you have to make your own? No? It's a lot easier if it's already there, right? Because then you don't have an interpretation problem. Okay. A stunt woman's on the ground looking up at the top of a cliff. She shoots her grappling hook at the top of Okay, that's funny. What's a grappling hook? It doesn't matter to do the trick, but you know Batman, he's always like shoots the thing with the claw and it grabs and then you can climb. Okay. Back in the 60s, the Batman series, they used to, for special effects, they'd always put the camera on its side and pretend he's walking up a building, but he's just walking along the ground. It looks hilarious.
Adam West one?
Yeah, the Adam West. Yeah. They made a movie. There's one where there's a shark chewing on his leg, and he asks Robin for the shark repellent to spray the shark. It's so awesome. Okay. You've never seen it? No? Okay.
Heard it.
Funny. She shoots her grappling hook at the top of the cliff. It attaches and she ties the rope attached to the hook to the ground so that it's pulled tight. Yep. The rope is 130 meters in length. Yep. She's standing 110 meters from the base of the cliff. Yep. calculate the angle. So really, we just read all that for no reason. We could have just looked at the diagram and just done it. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in here that's useful to us at all. We could have completely ignored it and just done this. Okay. This is the angle. What's this side called? Hypotenuse. What's this? Adjacent. So I'm using cos. And because I'm finding an angle, I don't need to do that. I can just go inverse cos of 110 over 130. Inverse cos 110 divided by 130, which is 32.20 degrees. Anybody else get 32? Okay. Marks again. Okay. There's also a scene in the Batman movie where he has a bomb and he's trying to get rid of it so that it doesn't blow up and hurt people. And he's running around with it, and every time he tries to find somewhere to throw it, like he goes to throw it in the water, and there's like ducklings. He's like, oh, can't throw it there. Everywhere he goes, there's always a reason. And at some point, he turns to the camera and says, you know, some days you just can't seem to get rid of a bomb. Very bizarre, but funny. Okay. Find the length of the side labeled X in the diagram shown below. Okay. So when I do these questions, I always just kind of cover one side. And looking at that, I have an angle. I don't know this side. Looking at it, I always need two parts to find a third. I don't know two parts. So there's really nothing I can do with this side. So I look at this side. Okay? Well, that's good. I see two sides there. If I see two parts, I know I can do some trig. It's either going to be the sine, cos, tan stuff or Pythagorean theorem, and that's going to help me figure stuff out. Okay. So, in order to figure out this side, I need to have this part right here, the common part. Okay. So let's do that first. So step one is going to be to use the what to find this side. Yeah, Pythagorean theorem. So this side right here, let's call it, I don't know, the other one, x is taken, so let's be super creative and call it y. So y is going to be the square root of the long side, hypotenuse squared, minus this side squared. That's Pythagorean theorem. All right, so let's just use our trusty calculator. Never steers me wrong. 120 centimeters is this length right here. Okay, so now I'm going to go and write 120 in here. And now I can look at this triangle and I'll be okay. Here's my angle. What's the x side called? That's the hypotenuse. What's the 120 side called? That is the adjacent. So I'm using cosine. And we're trying to find the hypotenuse. So it's going to be divide the 120 that we solved for divided by the cosine of 58 degrees. Which is 226.45. And that was in centimeters, right? Centimeters. Anybody get 226.45? Yeah. Okay, so this would be a 4-mark question. Extra mark for doing the first part. So the last page is worth 10. Is that the last page? Yeah. So in total, 2 plus 18 is 20 plus 10. Oh, it's worth a nice even 30 marks for the test. You should expect that the actual test is probably going to be the same thing. How many of you feel like you'll be all right on the test? How many of you feel like you won't be all right?
I'm being honest.
Okay. How many of you still refuse to put up your hand? You're supposed to say, I can neither confirm nor deny. I don't like putting my hand up.